You know, when our ancestors found fungi growing in the woods in the autumn, they didn't just think of their culinary uses. There are a host of other things they can be used for. Today, I thought I'd show you some of them. Wherever you find dead ash trees, like this one, you're also going to find Cramp Balls or King Alfred's cakes. This is one of the best violators I know. The great thing about these is they're really easily lit. They burn steadily and slowly like a charcoal briquette, and you can cook on them, and they make a really convenient hand warmer. Now there's a lovely sight. This tree's covered in the Birch Polypore fungus. It's got loads of uses, and I'm going to show you some, but you'll have to bear with me. On the underside of this fungus is this layer here, which we can score and peel back into a strip to use as a sort of microporous plaster. You have to peel it very carefully. Now, if I were to cut my finger, it'll form a good plaster. You could tie it on with a bit of string. But you can also use this fungus to make a good pad for blisters or for corns. There we go. Now, this is just like a piece of compressed foam rubber, and that's why it's good for blisters and for corns. Probably the most bizarre use for this fungus was this, and that was to cut it into a strip, dry it, and treat it with saltpeter. Now that was a fuse used in the explosives industry. You know, when our ancestors cut themselves or had slow-healing wounds, they'd come out into the forest to find some medicine. And one of the things they'd use were these. They're puff balls. Now, these have been used for centuries. And the way they were used was like this. They'd puff or pounce the spores onto the cut, and that had a healative effect. You know, there was a time when nearly every blacksmith smithy in the country had some puffballs hanging up in it for just such eventualities. Now this one is an ink cap. There are quite a few different varieties of these. As they get older, they dissolve to form this black liquid on the ground, carrying their spores away. You can see how it gets its name, ink cap, and we can use that just as a real ink. An old woodsman's trick was to take a twig and carve the end of it to a fine point and split it just like an ordinary nib pen to use with such an ink. Not bad, eh?